Sam Walker here, and unfortunately with a 0-4 record calling play-by-play of state championship games involving NENC sports teams.
Get away from me, loser. Mine is 1-5.
The best coverage of high school and college athletics in Northeast North Carolina begins now. This is NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
Our last show for 2016 coming at you thanks to WRVS 89.9 FM, the NENC Sports Radio Show. I'm Owen Hassel, sports editor for the Daily Advance in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Alongside Advance sports writer, as always, Malcolm Shields. This guy works at all hours. I think we've worked at all hours this past week.
Yeah.
But he works at all hours all the time. So glad he found a little bit of that time to spend with us. Always a fun guest. News director of Max Radio of the Carolinas, staff writer for the Outer Banks Voice, and creator of WikiLeaks. It's Sam Walker. Sam, when am I getting my WikiLeaks t-shirt?
Soon, Owen, soon. As soon as I have a chance to breathe after the last couple of weeks between high school football going deep in the playoffs here, the political intrigue and the start of ACC basketball that took a rather weird turn this week. We'll sometime get a chance to breathe. Oh yeah, it's Christmas almost too. Yeah, don't forget about that. So we'll get us a hashtag WikiLeaks t-shirt out very soon.
The inventor of WikiLeaks. I mean, anyone who mentioned it and said we don't know who created it, I made sure to tell them. I was like, it's my boy.
Yep.
It's my boy created that. I don't want anyone else to try to take credit for that. I remember seeing him do it first. WikiLeaks, fantastic Twitter, almost as good as NENC Sports Twitter handle, almost.
We just got to get them verified now on Twitter.
Yeah, now it's got to be verified. I've been trying to help you out there.
I'm working on it. I've already had one denial this year. Hopefully, this will be the one that puts me over the top.
It's got to be. I mean, you get 4,000 or 5,000 followers. That's more than anyone else in the corner, I think. I don't know anyone that's got that many.
Yeah, 67 away from 5,000.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and coming close to closing out the Facebook at 5,000, which means I have to change to a page, which is a completely different world.
Well, change can be good. Obviously, we'll talk a little more to Sam here in just a moment, but for more on Northeastern North Carolina sports, follow us on Twitter. Also use the hashtag NENC Sports to keep the discussion rolling. You can follow us at NENC Sports. Then for me, I'm at OwenOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
And the man with almost 5,000 Twitter followers is?
At Sam Walker OBX.
And there's more ways to stay involved with sports in Northeastern North Carolina in the form of a blog. Go to nencsports.wordpress.com for tidbits that aren't always in the Daily Advance, plus interviews and video from various Northeastern North Carolina games. That's right, Malcolm. A state championship or two for Northeastern North Carolina football teams. That happened this past Saturday. We'll get to those right after this.
Sportsmanship. It means a lot of things.
It means showing respect for the opposing team
and being a good host for our visitors.
It's about modeling good behavior and not getting caught up in the emotion of the moment.
It's about winning with humility,
losing with dignity.
It is about making my high school games.
It's a good memory that I can enjoy for years to come.
Mr. Official.
Mom.
Dad.
Son.
Daughter. Coach.
Are we in this together?
Sportsmanship. Together we make the right call.
This message has been brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association.
This is John Wheeler, head football coach of the Currituck Knights, and you're listening to NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
How do you keep the music playing?
Malcolm, this new Tony Bennett album, celebrating his 90th birthday. The man's 90.
Mm-hmm.
He's still sounding fantastic. Lady Gaga's on it, Michael Bublé, Billy Joel, Rufus Wainwright, right? Stevie Wonder, Elton John, even Kevin Spacey is on this. It's good stuff. I just wanted to throw it out there real quick because I've heard a couple of tracks. Tony Bennett is the man. And if we can get through 2016, we're almost there. And he's still with us.
Yes.
He lives forever.
Yeah.
He lives forever. Let's see. Two other people that live forever. Willie Nelson would be another one that lived forever.
Ozzy.
Keith Richards.
Keith Richards was the other one I was thinking of. Thank you, Sam. And Ozzy Osbourne.
There you go.
Yes. If those two make it through, we're not quite there yet, but we're very close. We're sniffing at it. We're touching it. We're feeling it.
Yeah.
Touch it a little bit more. Those make it through, then they outlive everybody.
Yes.
Outlive the planet. They're going to have to find a spaceship to get away from the planet when it blows up because they will still be alive. How did it happen? They lived through 2016 even when they were old then. Mm-hmm. That will be the reason. Been a tough year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
When it comes to losing quite a few celebrities. Anyway, 2A state championship, all Reidsville against Edenton, 58-12. Aces were down just 27-12 at halftime, but that opening drive of the second half, Edenton fumbles, and smelling blood in the water did the Reidsville Rams. You know the rest. But Edenton finished 13-3, tri-champs of the Northeastern Coastal, program's first appearance in the state final since '69, when wasn't technically a state final, but it's looked at in that presence, at least by the Aces fans. Plymouth missed out on its bid for back-to-back state titles in a 15-14 loss to Murphy. Sam, you had the play-by-play call with Edenton Reidsville. Just looked apparent the Rams had too many options. Edenton couldn't stop them all. But what were some of those Aces-induced mistakes, like the fumble third quarter? What were some other ones you thought made it for a big difference?
Well, I got to give credit to Reidsville, especially their defensive front, because they never gave Edenton an opportunity to get their option flowing. And that's one advantage. When you run the option and you run it no huddle, if you can get a defense back on its heels, especially the front four or even the front seven, if you can get those linebackers to not be, up in their spot every time on every play, Reidsville didn't take a play off. Other than that long touchdown run, when Edenton finally got on the board there in the first half, that might be the only play all night that I saw that defense, and that was just Edenton, pulled it off to perfection. But that defensive front for Reidsville was the difference in that ball game in terms of Edenton not being able to get downfield. And Letterlaw better be playing on Saturday somewhere next year, or at least redshirt somewhere. I mean, that kid, he goes out, 4 rushing, 1 receiving. You realize I didn't catch it until after on the way home. We saw a state championship record set that night.
Field goals. With
field goals.
Yeah.
And those are legit field goals. They call it the football capital of the state for a reason. So give Reidsville all the credit for that ball game. I mean, as much as Edenton was, there wasn't a situation where I think Edenton, shot themselves in the foot. Yeah, they did on a couple of mistakes there, especially, as it got later in the ball game, we started seeing the bad snaps that really cost them. That was all Reidsville all night long. Championship team, no question. 16-0, they proved why they were the best football team in 2A this year.
Yeah, you mentioned the 3 field goals being a state championship record, and each one, I think his longest was 34, but each one could have gone another 5 or 10 yards with each boot. They were that perfect, no doubt about it. I thought the field goal just before halftime to make it 27-12 was pretty crucial because Edenton had just gone down and scored and had a drive where they had to convert some big passing plays, which is un-Edenton-like, and did so. They were getting out of their comfort zone and doing some things. And Majante Stanley scores. It's still a game. It's still a game. That field goal, though, gave Reidsville that bit of momentum, that bit of edge that you felt like, okay, they're still the better team. And then, once again, Edenton coming out in the third quarter and just not coming out strong. And it was done.
Yeah, and that punt that we thought for a moment
Edenton had,
and it wasn't close. All that was the official just pointed the wrong direction. Because when you go back and you saw the replay, and I had commented, I was like, hopefully they're going to show this replay. And sure enough, they showed it. And you had 2 Reidsville players bracketing the ball. There's no way Edenton got that fumble. So I know a lot of the fans were upset in the stands, and they may not have seen that replay. But it was clearly it was just a mistake where the official pointed the wrong direction. It was the right call. But if that fumble, that may have been the catalyst for Edenton to at least get, they would have had a chance to get it within 1 score of them at midfield. And then Reidsville just turned it to another level and the mistake. And I think, part of that, where those bad snaps came out of was when that rain set in.
Yeah.
And, we got that shower that was it the second quarter, right? Where we got that rain.
It was starting to come down pretty steady in the second quarter, and that's when you started seeing these snaps going all over the place, and Kyrie Phelps running for his life because he knew he couldn't even get the kickoff, let alone do much else with it. It was that did not bode well for Edenton. It just, like you just said, it snowballed after that. Yeah,
it snowballed, but go back to it. Riesel played like a 15-0 team it's supposed to play. That goes to their conference without giving up a point. What was their? They scored no less than. They had a running clock in every conference match.
Yeah, they had 10 games of running clocks this year.
10 games of running clock. That's a team that was destined to win that state championship, no matter who they play. I'd put that team up against Wake Forest or any of the other teams in 3A or 4A. In a winner-take-all old school Indiana basketball championship game. That was that good a football team, and they proved
it. I thought if Edenton could have that mistake-free time of possession type game like they did against Northeastern in the third round, they could still be hanging around after three quarters and have a chance. That was Edenton's best chance, was just grinding out first downs, keeping Riesel's offense off the field. But then once you get down like you get down in the second quarter and you run the option, you're forced to do a lot of things that you just don't want to do. And those weren't done either.
Yeah, Luke Hoggard had guys on top of him before he could even make it. So we saw a lot of two-hand chest passes.
He was pitching the ball to like Kernersville. He was pitching it down to he was pitching it down to Charlotte a couple times. Over to High Point. They were going all over the place. He just had no time.
He's trying to put one on 16 at Tanglewood.
They were.
Can we drop in a few more triad references?
I'm trying my best.
Chris, the original Krispy Kreme,
Yeah. But again, it all boils down to Riesel was a better team. Knew it would take a big effort from Edenton to get the victory. But once again, 13-3, the conference champion, making this run to a state title game is big. It just kind of shows, though, that the area is making strides. There's a level that I think has been reached through this year, but there's still one more to go, and you still see that climb is high. It's still high because the West against the East this year in state championships in football went 6-2. Wallace Rose Hill won, which wasn't a surprise. I know Plymouth with the 1 point loss, but a lot of blowouts. Greensboro Dudley. Oh, that was like 50-0. I think at one point.
It was a thrash.
Yeah. Then there was a couple of when Wake Forest wins, they had like 3 block punts. They put Wake County the first state championship since 86 or 87.
Yes, our friend Mike Blake from the News Observer was making a mention about how big a deal it was for Wake County to have we think Wake County, well, you've had football titles many times, but no, you got a lot of larger schools there, and the Charlotte schools have dominated a lot in the 4A. So that was a big deal for not just Wake Forest, but Wake County.
But how about Plymouth and Murphy, where, Murphy dominated that game. If you look at the stat sheet on that game, you look at the box score, there's no way that's a 15-14 game. That game should have been about a 40-14 game. But for Plymouth to lose that ball game as far as how they lost it, had so many opportunities. They have back-to-back offsides on an extra point. And Murphy goes for 2 and waltzes in from a half yard out, and that's the ball game. And then Plymouth could not get on track. I listened to that game all the way on the drive to Winston-Salem, and they just could not seem, after they got that 14-7 lead going into halftime, and you're thinking, okay, well here, Cody's going to get this team to do what it's done and maybe get one more score, and they could never get over that hump. They could never get past the 35-yard in the entire second half. So to lose the game the way they lost it, and to get dominated like it, at least in terms of time of possession and 30 yards, it was really surprising.
And I think one storyline I've got that maybe isn't talked about as much is from Plymouth and Edenton, Malcolm. Plymouth, Coach Robert Cody kicked off a bunch of players.
Right.
Early in the year when they started 0-3, didn't think they had the commitment. And then they reel off 12 in a row, I believe, wins to get back to a state championship. And Edenton, Deshaun Hall, decides he's not happy or something happened, whatever, leaves the team. And then Edenton moves on to a state championship. And all those guys must be thinking, geez, we could have been there and what an opportunity missed. But I think the storyline, what I'm saying from it is coaches are saying, hey, we're going to win with you or without you. Right. If you don't want to be part of this team, that's fine. But we're not going to look at everything as just you. It really is the team. And these two teams said, we're not defined by a person. And they certainly showed it by getting to state championship games. I want to throw a couple other things out there and let you discuss it some, Malcolm, and you too, Sam. Since football season's now done, we got more storylines. 2017, Edenton's going down to 1A. They'll be in the new Albemarle Conference. Will Northeastern win a fifth straight Northeastern Coastal Conference, either shared or outright? Could we have these rivals in state title games next year? Edenton would be 1AA. Northeastern probably still be the small 2A. Guys, what are your thoughts?
Starting with Edenton, I think they have as good of a shot as anybody to get back to the state championship game. You're going to lose Luke Hoggard. You're going to lose a lot of other veterans. But it seems like Coach Hoggard's system, it seems like you can plug in pieces and they can keep rolling. In terms of Northeastern, who knows how 2A is going to break out next year with other teams moving up from 1A to 2A. And it's going to be a tough road for the Eagles, especially when they're losing some key guys like a Nick Golden. Yeah,
I think Edenton, it's going to be the question is who's going to be the quarterback for next year. That's going to be key because Hoggard ran that option to perfection. All year long. The 2 years he's been there, he has run that option to perfection. And you're going to get a different style of quarterback now, who's a little more athletic. And depending on on how Coach Hoggard decides to go. Who he decides to go with at quarterback will be a key for that offense and defensively return just enough. I wouldn't be surprised to see Edenton at least go deep. I almost expect it. Northeastern, maybe. The problem with Northeastern is they could end up – I think Hertford County's back for the boys. I think Hertford County is back, and that's scary. For everybody in the Northeast Coastal Conference. So if they're able to continue their success, cut out the silly penalties that they had this year, which cost them quite a few times, and cost them a chance to advance. Overall, can Edenton and Northeastern be playing on the second? Hopefully it's the second Saturday in December, not the third this year. There's a chance, but once we see how the numbers finally break out as far as who's going to be going where, in that 2A, that's going to dictate a lot with now that we know who's going where they are. Northeastern is going to have a tough road once we get to the playoffs, and Hertford County. Yeah, between the two, you think Edenton has a little bit easier road. I think Tarboro will be that team that everyone looks at. We almost have it penciled in about those two meeting in the play. East Carteret might have something to say about that, but let me throw something in there to back to Edenton. There's no guarantee they're going to be 1AA. With their ADM shrinking like it has, there could be a possibility if their numbers continue to decline as far as overall daily enrollment, that they will be in 1A when all things shake out. Maybe not next year, but 2-3 years down the road when we get about halfway through the current realignment or the new realignment, that you could end up with Edenton and Plymouth playing in the same class in football. If by that point we're still playing this AAA setup. Yeah, it wouldn't, like you said, it wouldn't happen so soon as next year. They'd have to lose about 150 kids or something. And that's not in 1 year. Not far-fetched. You don't think so? Not 100, maybe not 100, 150 in 1 year, but you go over a 3 or 4 year period because of the way their population has declined. You're looking at maybe freshmen who are playing right now or 8th graders at Chowan Middle who, by the time they're seniors, might be playing at one of the smaller 1A schools in the area. It seems that trend. Now, we thought that was Bertie. We thought, sure, Bertie was going to be the 1A school. So population changes can happen, but there's that possibility.
In the last realignment, Edenton was in the 700s. That's how much it's changed. Edenton's like Camden has one more student than Edenton, and looking at the numbers, it's like 607 to 606. And you've got to think going into the fall, Edenton could be below 6. Now, once again, they would need to be in the 4s to try to be in that small 1. But I don't, like you were saying here, I don't see it happen the first year, but maybe that second, maybe definitely that third year. If they're in the small 1, they're going to state championship. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. There's no argument about it then.
The road to the state championship in the East will have to cross the Highway 32 bridge.
Oh,
because either you're coming to Edenton or you're coming to, you're going to be in Plymouth.
Yeah, it's not even close. So, I mean, if you're Edenton fans, you're really salivating on that one. But you kind of don't want it that way. You rather just grab that one AA and you feel like you're what the hell, it's Edenton. They want a title bad, right? Let's get it anywhere. What am I talking about here? Just go get it. I mean, Plymouth's enjoyed it. You'll have someone else have it.
What are you guys' thoughts on the whole this whole year experiment in terms of the playoff system?
I hate it. I don't like the 8-state championship. To begin with, the way the seeding went this year, that was something I didn't get a chance to talk to you, Tucker. I wish I had now. Only who is the commissioner of the NCHSAA, and she was the head administrator at our site at Winston-Salem. I wish I'd gotten to talk to her just because to get her thoughts on this, because we always talk about how the Northeast always ends up being short stick. We're the ones who get stuck with the South. Part of that's because we got the odd number of schools. We got the 2A schools, and I specifically mean the 2A schools. The 1A schools, there's enough 1As close enough by that it's not as bad. But you still end up with this, these crazy road trips. You end up with these 5-hour road trips in the first round for all our sports. There's no way to settle it. The only way to settle it is put us all back in the situation where you're going to play. It'd be the Northeastern Coastal 1 versus the Eastern Plains 3. We play the same team every year, and that's how it was when I was in high school. I know that's how it was only when you were at Northeastern. You end up with that. You knew who you were going to play in the first round about every year in every sport, and it got boring, and then the coach got tired of it. So they get the seeding system. The seeding system has its faults, and the faults are so I'm still not a fan. I think it's probably the best we're going to get, barring finally getting a true power rating system like Virginia has. And as screwed up as Virginia's playoff system is, and I'll say that to the day I die because I can't make that. How you lose in the playoff, quote-unquote playoff, and still advance makes no sense to me, but that's just how they do it up there. But at least they have that power rating system that's it seems to be pretty legitimate, and it seems to find and to back up the right way. It's just Virginia's not quite as big travel as North Carolina is. And, how many years ago was Reedsville in the East? And how many years ago was High Point Andrews in the West? And now they're in the East. It's just so there's all these quirks we have with North Carolina being almost 600 miles wide and 400 and 500 miles long. There's no good way to do it, but I'm not a big fan of having the 8 state champions. I do like how we had 4 state champions, but at least now it seems like everyone's kind of settled in. That's how it's going to be, and that's what we're going to be dealing with.
Yeah, the guy that does stats for Reedsville was trying to. The state only acknowledges 15 of Reedsville's titles. Reedsville says they have 19. The 19th being, of course, this past Saturday, and he's using the idea that they don't acknowledge some of Edenton's or any of them because it's before that quote modern era. I know why they set it up like that, because you had a lot of years, of course, East-West didn't meet, zones, a whole bunch of different things. We don't really know the reasons for sure why. Maybe it was cost, travel, whatever. But he's making the point. I'm pushing for it also because how can you consider these true champions when you split the classification into playoffs and champions? But you're going to call them state champions, but then not call the ones that were like in zones or even East-West champions. You're not going to acknowledge that. I thought that was an interesting point.
That is interesting. That's a very good point. I mean, at the same time, all right, so we're going to say Richard Petty didn't win 7 cup titles because he raced in the era when there were 60 races per year. I'll throw it. That's probably the closest I think I could compare it to is how NASCAR is set up. It's the same way. You know, you had the modern era, the pre-Winston Cup era. There's still 7 champions. You still got three drivers who won 7 champions. The same thing. Just go ahead and acknowledge all of them. And I understand some of that has to do with the fact that we were dealing with segregated schools for so long, and that, you know, you had the separate class, you had the separate you know, the NCHSA, and you had you had all these different organizations. And, you know, but the NCHSA has been around for how long now? I mean, we're talking, 77 years. You know, just go ahead and fold them all in, acknowledge that they're championships. You know, we'll make the Helms Foundation joke. I mean, you know, you want to make that joke? Okay, fine. You know, some people will do that, but overall, yeah, just go ahead and they've won 19 state championships. Edenton just has, you know, their first appearance since '69. Instead of pointing out all this modern era stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just their way of trying to not have to dig so deep into all that and pulling out maybe a fresh can of worms. But you just said it, though. I mean, give the credit where credit is due. These teams and these coaches, they played as far as they could play, and they won as far as they could win. They didn't set up the schedules. They didn't do anything like that. They just played who they were told to play and won. But back to your point with the playoff system, it's kind of a political answer that we have a big state. I've said that a few times. It's just a big state.
Yeah.
Any way you look at it, there's going to be some travel. And yeah, back in the day, say 90s back in the day, that doesn't sound good, but back in the day, you had, like, it would be the number 1 from Northeastern Coast would play the 3 from an East Central. It was set up. You pretty much knew who you were playing easily, weeks ahead of time. It made it easier. You've had that situation. You've had situations where teams say, well, we don't like all the travel. We need to cut the travel, and say, okay, we're going to be playing your conference teams a lot. I guess we'll do that. And then people started hating that. Well, let's now do this seeding system. We do the West and Midwest and East and Mid-East. Oh, I don't know about that now, because now we do like a couple long travel games. Well, there's always going to be situations where you're just having to adapt. You're having to constantly make little tweaks and changes to the playoff system. Nothing's going to be perfect with it. It's not. But you just have to adapt to what you see things each year. However, like I had said before, this whole idea of an experimental playoff system this year just didn't make a lot of sense to me, because next year's realignment, and you have a whole new set of questions with schools moving up or down. So this year is really not going to teach you much for next year, because next year is a whole different set of circumstances. So we're going to be talking about the same thing next year. You're going to ask the question. I'm going to say, Malcolm, you asked me that back in last December. So let me explain again a nice political, that kind of thing. It's just going to go round and round and round. But I do, some of the teams that I've talked to did like the fact they weren't playing a team in the playoffs for like the 4th straight year. Edenton and Aiden Grifton. Like every year they play each other in the playoffs. Well, that didn't happen this year. I don't remember the last time they had played a South Columbus type team in the postseason, which might not have happened in those earlier playoff formats when they were just trying to keep teams from driving so far. There's really no clear answer, is what it comes down to. It's just not. And
the pod system, we've already seen the pod system. That doesn't work because you end up playing the same schools so late already. There is no easy solution. And obviously it does come in the first and second round is where it always is a complaint, because that's where you end up with, for volleyball, for example, you drive 5 hours to go get beat in 3 sets. You play 30 minutes, and you already turn around and going home. And football is different. And then football is the money man. But it's some of that's money too. So think about that, how much money gets eaten up just on the travel expenses, and you end up making about $8. And I think it was like $60-some Currituck Knights made from a volleyball match because they had to pay that travel for that first round team that came and played for 30 minutes.
Those are things people don't see. They don't. Yeah. They see, look at all this money, look at this crowd. Do you know how much is taken off the top by the state?
That's right.
How much is taken right off the top before anything else is taken, before you pay officials, before you pay people for food, for a whole bunch of different things. the state, especially in a regional final. Like, I can almost guarantee you, Malcolm, Edenton made as much or more money going to South Columbus and playing than they would have if they hosted South Columbus, because of the travel. They got money for travel from South Columbus for such a long trip. It was long enough to where they could have gotten money for hotels. There's a certain mileage point. I can't remember exactly on the worksheet, but they probably got as much money with a big crowd there too as South Columbus. And then the state gets their part. I mean, South Columbus got some money off of the game, I'm sure, but probably nowhere near what you'd think if you just looked at the crowd and you were there.
Yeah, it was pretty
big
good.
Crowd.
Pretty good. Really good.
And I'm sure if you talk to somebody from South Columbus, says, yeah, we probably made $10. I mean, that's really, I'm not too far off, am I, Sam?
No, you're not. I mean, they probably maybe cleared, they probably didn't clear four figures. If they did, they were very fortunate. It helped that they had a huge Edenton crowd.
Right.
That helped a lot. I mean, if you think about how much money they made off from that sideline alone on that game.
Now, the craziness is, and I'm a little off topic, but Richmond County. Paul Hogger came from Richmond County. Richmond County just lost his successor. He's left. Richmond County is crazy. They if you don't win like 12, 13 games average and get to at least the third round of playoffs, you're gone in a couple of years, or they're trying to push you out. That's really what was kind of getting Hogger away from there. It was getting to be a little too much stress. There's a lot of people in Richmond County still love him. It's just some of those crazies, like every place has to a degree. But talking to the principal at Edenton, he said some of their smallest gates would be like 15,000, 18,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
They're lined up. I mean, we saw a picture of Scotland County for the fourth round. I saw somebody tweet a picture during the regional final. There are people lined up 2 hours before kickoff to get in. And then they said, but it's not Richmond County long. I mean, there's what else are you going to do in Rockingham on a Friday night now?
There's no racing anymore.
There's no, that's right, exactly. The racetrack's falling in again.
I mean, they're making counterfeit tickets for games.
Yeah, they ought to go out. You know what? They could probably go out there and put the football field in the infield at the Rockingham Speedway, sell it out, and they would sell it out.
Oh my gosh, Sam!
Yeah.
Battle at Bristol would be turned to the Rockingham Rumble.
That's right.
I just did it. I phrased it. The Rockingham Rumble, Richmond and Scotland. It's us. You have WikiLeaks. I have Rockingham Rumble.
The Rockingham Rumble.
This is good. I'm making shirts right now as we speak. You hear it in the background? Those are the T-shirts being made for that. That's going to be. Now they're going to have to clean up a lot, because I know that it has deteriorated quite a bit. In the infield, doesn't quite lend itself. They're going to have to tear some buildings down. They'd have to do a few things around there, but that would work. They could fill it up. People from other places would come.
And they would fill it up.
Oh my gosh. This is such a great idea. I wish I lived down there. I would write a column about it. I might write one anyway.
There you go.
This is fantastic. Oh, okay. Well, I know Sam's busy. I want to ask you one more thing before we let you go. Northeastern Coastal Conference, been around since about 2000. Not a lot of changes really with the teams. I know Manny was in, they were out. First Flight comes in, and now Edenton's leaving. But it was a split league. Now it's 2A. 2016. Is this calendar year the best in Northeastern Coastal history, when you have First Flight Boys Soccer state champions, Northeastern Boys Basketball regional finalists, Edenton Baseball, Currituck Volleyball regional finalists, Edenton Football obviously a state finalist? Is this, guys, the best calendar year in conference history?
Don't forget First Flight Wrestling.
Flight Wrestling, yeah.
State championships. We had two state titles, a regional championship, and three regional finals. No way there's any better year than this year in this conference. And as we had talked, talking to the guys from Carolina Gridiron when I got up from Winston-Salem, they said, everybody benefits when we've got good teams from the Northeast. It's not just it helps everybody, and they all want to see it. They all want to make the trip out here, and I think part of that is, hey, the job that we're all doing out here. They like coming out to our place. So overall, yeah, it's got to be the best overall top to bottom sports year for this conference. And all it's going to do is, it raises the level of expectation, but it also, I think, raises the level of competition, and the players know it, the coaches know it, the fans know it, the administrators know it, that they want to stay at this level and just get better and have more gold and silver coming back.
Yeah. It's if you Edenton players that were sitting on that bench and JV kids that were watching, you tell me they're not excited about next year. They know they're dropping to 1A. And now it's not given. We've talked about Tarboro dropping from 2A to 1A. They haven't made a state title yet. They haven't even gotten there. And they won a few at 2A. They had a Mr. Todd Gurley for a couple of those. So there's an asterisk there. But they got the one, and I think one without Gurley. Or they got to one and lost. And that was 2011 when they beat the pants off Northeastern. That's the last time I've really seen Northeastern absolutely throttled. That was back in 2012, I think, actually. And then Tarboro went on the state final, lost. Then they dropped down to 1A. But Wallace-Rose Hill and James Keenan won the last 4 1AA East regionals. And I think each one of them won state titles. I know they did. James Keenan won the first one. Wallace-Rose Hills won the last 3. So the East in 1AA has been pretty powerful, which once again lends me to think, what about Edenton? What about Tarboro? They're licking their chops. It's there for the taking. So, yeah, it raises the bar, but it's exciting. It's an exciting raising.
Absolutely.
This time. That's the best way to put it. Sam, thank you being on here. I know you've been driving all over the place, and you're at the state championship with me, and we had a great time. And like you said, the media all during the week, I've just been impressed seeing so many media across the state. Malcolm, you were at the press conference this past Monday, last Monday, with the state finals and how hard a lot of people work to make this thing happen at a state level. I just get more impressed by it and happy to get to know these people. Get some rest, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, no rest for the weary. We got to do some morning show duties. How that is. Got to do the real job now. So, but guys, it's been fun. I mean, this has been a great football year to cover. No question. This has been a great football year for all of us to cover. And hopefully, maybe we're going to see the same thing with basketball and baseball. Got good things ahead. So as good as 16 was, I think 17 is only going to get better for everything here in NENC sports.
Well, holiday time's in full swing, and Malcolm, our first volume of NENC Carols last season, bestseller. Fantastic. Lots of not people bought it. So we had to go stronger. We're a second edition. I mean, we listen to what the Northeast Corner wants. So let's take a first listen at NENC Carols. It's the Corner Outside.
A fresh set of hits you're sure to enjoy with a lot of spirited beverages and forget moments later comes at you hard and heavy with classics such as Dallas to Halls, a Miss Northeastern for Christmas, the 18 games of Coastal 10, Hopkins around the Christmas tree, and a tune certain to walk a straight line of fun, a Blue Lights Christmas.
I'll have a Blue Lights Christmas without you. I'll see them shine on Ehringhaus and miss you. Decorations on Pearl, but my driving takes a whirl. It makes a blue lights Christmas.
And there's so much more. Oh, why is there so much more? I mean, this is total nonsense. It won't be Barlow without you. By you, meaning excuses. The Little and Mini Sutton Boys. A free throw candy striped sleigh ride. The Heart of Perquimans Christmas baseball. I saw Ernest coaching Peyton Manning. Scott Jones, did you know? Of course he did. He's Scott Jones. A Holly Jolly Steamer. Silent Night by solo artist Wes Matera, done after the first quarter of a football game. Here's a sample.
Silent Night, sweet, holy night, counter, all is calm. No, it's not. All is bright. Wrap up.
Order before Christmas Christmas and get the hit single, Kamryn Now. Grab your copy of NENC Carols Volume 2. It's the corner outside at these area locations. Nowhere.
I got so many felonies, I might can't never go to Canada, but Drake said he gon' put some screens, so let me check my calendar.
Owen Hassel, Malcolm Shields back on the radio show, the Northeastern North Carolina Sports Talk Show. Love having Sam Walker on. It just makes things.
Absolutely.
He knows too much. And the man works his tail off.
Absolutely.
We're talking news, not sports. I mean, sports he just loves.
Yeah.
He covers a lot of news. And there was a lot of news happening in the state.
Yeah.
Just on a Wednesday. But, well, let's go ahead and do it. I want to get this out there, and our listeners that follow us, be nice to know they'll get to hear it first. One of the all-area players for the year, players of the year for this fall season. We're going to give you one. The selection's easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Currituck Volleyball's Kamryn Johnson. I mean, that's
no shock.
Everyone listening going, oh, okay, the easy one. All right, you're not going to give us like the football or anything. You're going to start off with the volleyball. Now, there's two different, of course, all-area play of the year is the Daily Advance coverage area, which is Chowan for Quemmons, Pasquotank, Camden, Currituck. However, in this case, if we had Gates and Dare and other counties, it's still going to be Kamryn Johnson of Currituck. So at least in this case, it's like a true NENC player of the year. Back-to-back honors for the sophomore. She's in line to make it a four-peat, and I think she's got the background and work ethic that she's not going to just plateau and say, I'm just really good. I don't have to do anything else. You see some kids that are like that.
Right.
And then someone sneaks up and just becomes a better player. And you go, wait a minute. I mean, what's going on here? I've seen that in basketball. I've seen it in baseball. I've seen it in a number of sports. But I think Kamryn is a type that she stays in Currituck all 4 years. I don't think she'll leave. Mm-hmm. She'll be a 4-time area player of the year, which is, I don't think that's ever happened. And I say that because she can do anything. She plays beach volleyball a lot, so it makes her a complete player. She led the team in aces, kills, I think digs, because they didn't have a straight libero.
Okay.
And she was probably their best passer, even though it was Jessie Wilson doing the majority of that as a great setter. She could pass the ball. Mm-hmm. I mean, she could play any position on that court and play it very well and at a high level. And with her, she is that player. She is that player that's put Currituck Volleyball on a level as the best team in the area. They took it from Northeastern a couple years ago. Northeastern's that high-quality group has left, and they're still good, but they're not at that state level. Now Currituck has gotten the taste. They're another team with a taste. They got there. They end up playing a professional team in Carborough, but other than that, that team would have won a 4A title, folks. Just put it like it is. No shame. It's kind of like Reedsville a little bit. Another wall, another level that the Northeast corner hasn't quite got to yet. But they're already on a level that people are taking notice. Sam Walker mentioned it. People are taking notice. I talked to people in the press box Saturday, and they're like, hey, you're Owen? Oh, man, the NENC, man, that's awesome. I hear that show. That's great. You got the shirt? Let me see the shirt. I hear about this shirt. And I turn around, I'm like showing off the shirt, I'm modeling it, I'm walking down the runway, I'm having a good time with it, going down the step. There's no runway.
I know.
A couple steps. and they're enjoying, give me a shirt, that'd be great. I mean, the shirts, I think the shirts will sell like hotcakes in other areas. It's crazy. Yeah. Mike Blake from the News and Observer wanted one.
There you go.
I was like, yeah, I got one in the truck. We'll get you one. And he looked at it, he's like, this is awesome. He's like, if we did it, though, we'd have to have like an extra large because they got like 40 counties. Yes. And it would take up the whole back. I'm getting off subject. Anyway, Kamryn Johnson, a great player, a great athlete, just good, really good person. And if she doesn't get a four-peat, I want to see who unseats her. I want to see who that player is because, and if that player's on Currituck, that is straight unfair for everybody else. So, well, let's hear from Mrs. Johnson.
Another fantastic year for Currituck Volleyball, and you were a part of that. Overall, what was the experience like to get so close to a state championship?
The experience was great. The whole team, we put in a lot of effort. We made a goal pushing ourselves to go further this year, and we did. My brother was a huge aspect to what we already had from Miss Hopkins, and we blended really well, and it was great.
What changed this year from last year for you? What did you feel like you had to do better this year?
I probably had to work on my mental game more than anything, and blocking people out, and just like every time I just stepped on the court, I always worked on something new, or I've always have to be better than I did last game.
What does it mean when people come up to you and say, you do a little bit of everything, you fill the stat sheet? What does that mean to you that if you got to be on the back row, you could be up front, serve? I mean, you feel like you can play any position?
Yes. I do a lot of beach ball too, and you have to play every position, and I don't think you should just play one position, because if you're an all-around player, it makes you a better player personally, and I'll pass if I have to, and I'll set if I have to. I just love playing every position.
Beach volleyball and indoor volleyball, I mean, you feel like you have to balance each one.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still leaning towards beach as far as college? Has that changed?
Beach is a huge deal to me, but I will play indoor. If both opportunities are there, I will do both.
When did you realize this season that it could be a really special year? Did any point come up where this is something, we've got a great group here?
Probably when we played South Greenville, and that was a very strong team. And after that moment, I knew we could go far, because the team just blend so well together, and no one got down, and we always had each other's backs and everything.
We give out ballots to every coach in the area as far as who are your top players. The coach of your own team can't vote for your own players, but they always put in their recommendations from their team. Every coach picked you as a top player. What does that mean?
That means a lot to me, especially I know volleyball isn't really a big sport, but for all the coaches and everything to realize that it means a lot, because volleyball is a very big growing sport right now, and that means a lot for the coaches to recognize me.
What would it take for volleyball to become a bigger sport in this area? You're saying that it needs a little more love, it needs a little more support. What's it going to take?
I think it's just going to take dedication. Me and my brother, we've given up about half our life to volleyball, and we don't do on weekends, we can't hang out with our friends. We're always at a tournament or something, and it just really takes dedication.
What do you need to do moving forward the next 2 years? You have 2 more years. Some people are maybe a little upset by that, some of your rivals and opponents, but what do you need to do the next 2 years to get even better?
I have a lot to work on. I'm actually a very shy person, and I really need to work on communicating, and with volleyball I could always work on strength and building, and there's always something I could work on in volleyball.
You say you're a very shy person, but is volleyball your outlet? Some people say that's where she talks. Is that it for you?
Yeah. Volleyball, I'm very comfortable on the volleyball court. I like to show who I am on the court, and then off the court I'm just me, and just volleyball, I love the sport, and I just give everything I got to that sport.
Your brother's not going to be around next year. I know that's come through your mind a few times.
It has.
That bittersweet, because he's moving on to play college, but he's not going to be here.
No. We still have Hopkins, and we still have the team, and we're going to use Chase as much as we can, in the summer, and we're still always going to remember the things he taught us, drills. So he'll be with us even though he's not here.
How do you sense yourself not being as shy anymore even this year? A couple things maybe you did with the team and knowing, wow, I never thought about that last year. I didn't want to be that open.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been able to open up?
Mm-hmm. Coming in last year to varsity was a big thing because being a freshman on varsity is very nerve-wracking because they are older and they're more mature and everything, but being a sophomore really just like relaxed me. And I mean, when we're on the court, like we're all the same. Like basically we're just family. And like that's how like I realized it, and like I just knew they could always be there.
Anybody coming up the middle school ranks that are going to make people look at Currituck volleyball even more?
I know we have one girl at the Currituck Middle School coming up, and she actually plays for Coastal, my brother's travel team, and she's done like HP camps and everything, so she could be a big aspect too.
So the Lady Knights are going to a state championship, at least in the next 2 years.
I hope so.
Are you going to put that? Are you going to say it for sure, or is that too much pressure?
Yeah, we could do it. We definitely could do it.
You're not being shy about that.
No, I know we could do it.
Discover graduate education at Elizabeth City State University. ECSU currently offers 4 graduate degree programs: elementary education, biological sciences, school administration, and mathematics. To learn more, contact the Office of Graduate Education at 252-335-3947 or online at ecsu.edu.
And thank you, NENC Universe.
Absolutely.
For a great 2016. This will be the last show for 2016. And a lot of good times. Just a lot of good times. I know Malcolm's thinking of some right now. I'm not going to put him on the spot, though. But he's thinking of some. I thought one of the best times was his incredibly awesome, dramatic portrayal of getting me to cover the game at Winston-Salem this past Saturday. That was just a thing of beauty. I got so jacked that I listened to the replay on the show on the way to Winston Saturday, like, oh, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm here. Malcolm just got right in my face, told me what I had to do.
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm going to Winston-Salem. I'm going to stay in a crappy hotel a mile from the stadium, risk my life. The hotel's on Akron Drive anyway, if you want to know. Crappy hotel, get to the stadium, cover that game, come back, work at the hotel till 4 a.m. and leave. That's why. No. It's still a lot of fun. No, seriously, good job.
No problem.
Malcolm wanted to do another take with it.
You're killing me.
Come on, Owen, please. No, actually, I kind of like the way it was done in an odd way. Now, people who haven't heard last week and they want to listen to last week's show. It's on YouTube, of course. If you're not listening to YouTube already,
the internet never forgets.
It's on there, and Owen, you have to go. It's your destiny. Destiny?
Oh man.
Poor Malcolm. Last week, Tommy Bass was railing him about sleeping.
I don't know where that came from.
He was like, Johnny sleeps a lot over here. And now I'm throwing in some barbs.
It's all good.
I mean, oh gosh, that's right. Twitter shouts.
Your tweets go here. Twitter shouts.
This one from one of our Currituck faithful, John Wheeler, of course, the football coach for the Knights. He's at Currituck FB. He goes, at Rivals, I hate to see that BAM's hometown is listed as High Point. It's definitely Pinetown, NC, and Northside High School. They do because Bam Adebayo, who now plays at Kentucky, went to High Point to play for a year, prep school, before going on to Kentucky, was at Northside High School. Watched him as a freshman play at Camden. He was very raw, but huge. And you knew if he got the right people behind him, he could be an absolute beast-erific. And he is. He played Northside. They played at Camden that year. Camden beat him because Northside didn't really have anything else. Camden had a really good squad. I just remember him blocking Jake McDaniel's shot and the ball bouncing off the wall of the gym and going across court. Jake McDaniel's trying to shoot over him. Oof. I don't think Bam jumped. It was pretty funny. I said, Jake McDaniels, what are you doing? That guy's like 1.5 feet taller than you.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I just thought I'd get it around him. You're not getting it around him. That is not happening. I mean, kudos for Jake McDaniels. Did not fear anybody. And it's going to kick it to straight shoot the ball. So Bam is from Pinetown, North Carolina. He is an Eastern North Carolina guy for sure. Well, we encourage all of you to tweet about NENC Sports, and yours might get put on the air. Just post your thoughts or questions. We'll try to answer them. Use the hashtag NENC Sports. High schools for Women's at Camden on Friday, talking about those Camden boys. Lady Pirates won. Camden boys got Coach Mark Harnley his 400th career victory. Malcolm, you were there. Pretty awkward that the guy who had just gotten 500 and Tommy Johnson could not deny Mark Harnley his 400th.
Yeah, and then a lot of that had to do with J.R. Williams going off there in the second half. I think he scored 13 of his 21 in that fourth quarter. He really got rolling. And then after that, Camden's kind of got tripped up a couple of games since that 400 win.
Right. Pasquotank beat him the next day. Maybe they were on that women's high, if whatever you want to call that. Corey Jackson had a double-double. He's had a few of those here lately. With Pasquotank playing a little bit better basketball. Oh, they lost to Riverside, but they're playing a little better basketball than at least they were the week before against Camden when they didn't show up. Mm-hmm. Bruins then had to set back to Riverside in Williamston. A couple games where Harnley can definitely use his teaching moments. Mm-hmm. He knows he doesn't have a big team. He knows he's had more talented teams, but he is working well with what he's got, and that's the reason why I think they're 7-2 right now. Mm-hmm. No,
8-2.
It had to be 8 because they got the 400. Is at 3 nights. So 8-2 so far. Obviously, Thursday playing Northeastern could be loss number 3. But you go into Christmas at 8-3 with really just Roberson, Williams, a couple other guys who are starting to fill into roles. No guy taller than 5'3". You know, it's 5'4.5". I should give them more credit.
A little bit generous.
Yeah, very generous. And
I can't talk. I don't know why I'm joking.
We're all laughing here for some reason. Not like we're basketball stars ourselves, but 8 wins this early in the year for Camden just shows how good of a coach Mark Harnley is. That's really all there is to it there. Burquemins at Edenton first came back for Robert Woodley. The man, Aces won 59-48. Woodley, he was so animated. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was into it so much. He was so excited. It was like he was 50 again. I mean, he was just so young and full of energy. He was just feeling that young again. But Camonte Rayner, a freshman, we didn't know who this guy was. Didn't play football. Remember the name. This cat, big time blocks, an and one play late. He didn't think he should be on varsity. His mom found out that he made varsity. He told, "Hey, Mom, I got the text. I made varsity." And she went, "Really?" She called Coach Woodley, said, "I don't know if he's ready for varsity. Are you right, Coach? Is this a typo? No, I'm right. He will play." Because in Woodley's mind, if he does need a whole lot of playing time to get better, yeah, he's going to go on JV and get those minutes. But this is a big kid. I've seen what he can do. He can be productive for us on varsity and not just sit on the bench. He didn't sit the bench. He played a lot of minutes. And again, was very productive. Lavernon Randall, we know what he can do. Hit some clutch threes in that season opener. First time Woodley's been the home coach at Edenton since 1997. Oh. When he left, where he still lives in Edenton, of course. Now he's back coaching. Edenton's kind of this would be a 360. I tell the joke like, man, that's just crazy. That's like a 360. We're right back where you are. Well, he really is right back where he is. Right back at Edenton. And as far as the Lady Aces, Jakira Jackson with 23. She was an all-area player last year as Edenton's girls beat Burquemins. David Peeler, the coach of Edenton's, got 9 seniors this year, and he makes them all captains. He's got 11 players, 9 are seniors. I hate to see next year. I'm not thinking too far ahead. Just think of the moment, right? Just get in the moment. But Edenton girls looking like they could give a push to Currituck. I think they can give a push to Bertie, especially with those seniors. And Jakira Jackson is a pretty solid guard. Another note from last week, we got to mention this. First flight at Bertie boys, Nighthawks, state record. I think it's a national record, if I heard correctly, in a game, 28 3-pointers, but lost 120 to 107.
Oh, man.
I mean, you're just basically standing on the court.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead and shoot. That's it.
A little bit of defense there.
The fighting trifectas is what I'm now calling it for Coach Chad Williams for First Flight. Watch out for Dylan Blake, another freshman. We're going to have like an all-freshman team for maybe a Northeastern Coastal basketball. Speaks a lot for the future of the league for hoops. Just a freshman, again, had 30-plus against the Falcons. He's had a bunch of like 15, 20, 25-point games. Just a freshman. He looks it. He looks like a kid who's 14, 15 years old, but his skills are certainly there in the shooting department. Chad is always able to find a shooter out there. The Beach loves shooting. And Chad Williams knows what he has, and he runs his system with what he has. He doesn't try to play with what he doesn't have. So if people look at that score and go, oh, God, they don't play defense, so they don't do that. He knows what he has, people. And he works that to his. Does he want to give up 120 points? Of course not. But he knows he just has to literally outshoot people in certain games. He's kind of young this year. He lost Jack Constanzer. That's a big enough loss. But this kid could start to maybe, I mean, if he's doing this now as a senior, again, sky's the limit. It's bright. It's a bright future if you're a First Flight basketball fan. Wrestling, Northeastern's Dylan Herman won at 182 pounds at the Mike Duman Toys for Tots Invitational in Virginia last weekend. Let's head over to colleges. MACU women finished 2016 with back-to-back victories, 6-5. They haven't won 6 games ever in a whole year, people. The year meaning going into the January, February, the whole season. So this is already some pluses, plus for the Lady Mustangs and the Fighting Aaliyah McNeils. Let's do that for MACU because that was a great pickup for Coach Charlie Troxell, and she's showing why. She's had a really good year so far as a freshman, just fits right into the system. ECSU men not fitting into any system.
It's a struggle.
Lost to Barton at home on Monday. Vikings 1-9 heading into 2017. Meanwhile, Malcolm, ECSU women got a couple of CIAA victories you like with Coach John Hill putting together.
Yeah, just slow it down and put the ball in your best player's hands and Jalen Brown, and he's trying to ride with that. That's as much as he's got, and just see how it goes. It's going to be interesting how they're going to be able to adjust once they get deep into conference play, and how teams adjust will be his next counter move.
Yeah, it's Jalen Brown's your best player.
Yeah,
user a lot. We got to close up, man. I need to close up 2016. It's been a good year for us in sports.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking about the other things in the world, just right now. This is our world, our show, your show. What it's about. Remember to follow us on Twitter at NENC Sports. I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
For the latest sports updates, as well as pick up a copy of the Daily Advance newspaper. We go beyond our radio time quite a bit, so if you're not listening to it on YouTube already, go check it out on YouTube. Search for either WRVS 89.9 or NENC Sports. Rowan Hassel, Malcolm Shields, and Sam Walker, who joined us earlier. It's the NENC, and don't you see?
Athletes live here.
NENC Sports Radio Show is produced at the WRVS-FM studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University.